All right, good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Kevin Phelps here. We are having some technical difficulties. We're not going to be airing our 4:30 here this morning. We'll be going live on air at 5 o'clock here this morning. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to kind of run over the weather here over the next several days, and we'll jump off this stream so we can get the rest of the studio and everything prepared for our show here in a few minutes. Kind of going to wait for a few more people to join. We have a push notification going out here in about 90 seconds, so that will hopefully allow additional people to kind of join our stream here this morning and get the latest and greatest that we have for you here this morning. So we know things are going to be busy here the rest of the week. We know that we have some cold mornings, but we'll give some people some time to join, and we'll kind of go for there. I'm kind of looking to see all of our broadcasts, what we have going on right now. Not sure exactly what we're going to be airing here at 4:30, but that's why we're here on the stream for you to get everything kind of going here and hopefully get you set up for a wonderful Wednesday, as we have a chaotic one here at TV6. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee here and kind of just wait for people to drop in the comments, and we'll start going from there. Turn the audio off on my laptop over here. You don't need to be hearing all that extra stuff, but all right, that's enough people that have probably joined here this morning. So let's just jump right into it. Yes, we have some cold mornings here. Not first alert day worthy, I would say, as we're kind of right on the edge of some wind chills of 10 and 20 below, but at the same time, we're kind of used to it at this point. I mean, we were 40 below zero here as we went into last week. So here's kind of the weather headlines for you here as we get into this morning. Yes, the cold mornings, sub-zero wind chills. I'll jump into more on that in just a second. One good thing is we have a lot of sunshine here as we get into really this afternoon and really the rest of this week. And we are tracking some milder temperatures, but I'm going to be talking more about that snow Sunday and if we're seeing any significant weather pattern changes here ahead. So that's kind of what we're looking at here as you just are kind of maybe waking up or joining us here on our streams. Again, technical difficulties here getting on air, and it looks like we'll be on at around 5 a.m. At least that's the update that we have for you right now. So if you're just waking up with us, it's another cold morning. Your pet's probably not going to stay outside here for very long, as we're down to 1 below zero there in Clinton. You're at 0 in Maquoketa, 5 above as you head out in Mount Pleasant. We have west winds coming in anywhere between 10 and 15 miles per hour. So it's still breezy, not quite as blustery as yesterday, but there's those wind chills. Again, we're at 10 to 15 below across a lot of the area north of I-80. Once you get south of the Quad Cities, wind chills are actually still kind of hanging out above zero. So that's not a bad deal, I suppose, but it's still cold here nonetheless. And this is, again, more typical of what January is like here in our area. So again, I'm not seeing any delays or anything like that. In fact, let me just check to see if we do have any of those. It's one of these things that kind of come in anywhere between 4:30 and really 5:45 here in the morning, depending on where your district is at. But I don't think this is going to be cold enough to produce any sort of significant delays or anything like that, and I'm not seeing anything here on the KWQC closing page right now. So if that changes, obviously we would let you know. So again, wind chills are going to be the factor here this morning. As you just look at clouds and radar, there's not a ton out there. In fact, when I was coming into the office here this morning, the moon looked huge in that really cold and clear sky. That is already set, and that's just an optical illusion why it looks so big when it's lower on the horizon. We're kind of just bending that light, and it kind of just magnifies it a little bit. So really kind of a cool optical illusion that is, but you can see some active weather there near the North Dakota. Some scattered flurries are going to be possible anytime we have this Arctic air mass, but with our passing clouds today, I don't really foresee that being an issue, and it does look like we are airing Investigates TV here right now. So as a reminder, we will be on air starting at 5 a.m. Investigate TV will be running right now from 4:30 to 5 here on TV6. So if you're joining us on the stream, we're just running over the weather and talking a little bit more about maybe what we can expect here this weekend. This is just what we're looking at here today. Teens and 20s here for highs, about 10 degrees below normal. So that kind of takes care of today. But what I want to do is I want to start maybe looking at a couple of traffic cameras, and then I'm going to talk more about what we can expect here this weekend and as we get into next week. So there it is, the clear skies here this morning. Again, there's not a ton going on here on satellite or radar. Just a peek at any of your traffic cameras here right now as we'll pull that full. Highway 61, that looks like that's out near Key West, just south of Dubuque. It's always fun fun to read that sign, Key West, and you're in Highway 61 there in Iowa. But no major issues here on area roads here this morning. Probably not a big surprise. But we talked about the quiet weather this week, but then we talked about a little bit of snow this weekend. So let's kind of jump into that here in just a second. We're going to have northwest winds. This is going to be routine here really for the rest of this week. So when you get northwest flow, this typically means that you're going to have several systems kind of slowly impacting the area. But for us, we're not really having any significant system through the work week. What we're likely going to have is just these northwest winds keeping us to the teens and 20s each day. So kind of a rudimentary forecast for you there. But here we go into the weekend. This is where models are certainly disagreeing on what will play out. I will say that model number 2 has been quite consistent here over the course of this past week, producing some light snow over the area. Model 1 continues to show absolutely nothing. That one's been waffling back and forth. One run it'll show snow, the next run it's not going to show anything. So right now model not showing anything there for Sunday at 6 o'clock in the evening. If we do get snow, it is not going to be substantial. We're talking an inch or less in any location. So while we have these snow chances, it's something that we are probably, or I don't want to assume, but we should be pros at this by now. So an inch of snow really shouldn't be that big of a deal. As you get into next week, though, this is where we start seeing a little bit of a weather pattern change. And I'm not talking the groundhog predicting early spring. What it is going to happen, though, is we are likely going to see some milder air work in. We have been below freezing here for several days. In fact, if we get all the way into next Monday without getting to 32 degrees, it'd be about 10 or 11 days in a row. That matches last year's longest streak, and over the last 30 years, that would rank as the 11th longest on record. So it's something that we've been dealing with this cold air for a while, and we kind of see these changes. So here we go. Here's February 4th of next week. You know what? I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to pull this back. Let's see here. Trying to put together a show on the fly here is always really fun. So here we are today. I'm going to have this go right through the weekend, or at least February 1st. This is where that light snow is kind of setting up over the area. I'm going to pull this full for you. That light snow potentially rolling through the area here as you get into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Again, I'm not overly concerned about a lot of accumulation out of this. It would be an inch or less. Now, as we get into the middle of next week, again, we're still in the 20s there as you get into February 4th. So that's next Wednesday. This is the potential next weather maker as we look even further beyond this weekend. This one also is not going to be a major snowmaker. We have the temperatures in place to produce snow, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anything substantial here for us. We're talking probably another inch or less if I had to tie a number to it, but we know 10 days out, it's darn near impossible to get into absolute specifics with that. But here's the big take home. It's beyond it that you don't get that Arctic air. We're potentially talking highs in the 40s as we get to next Thursday and Friday. Look at Omaha and Hastings, Nebraska, topping out in the 50s. So there's that milder air that's trying to work in as we get in towards the middle and end of next week. So as we get into the next 7 days, we're still going to be running below normal in large part. I added that snow chance in here for Sunday. Again, we're not talking about a ton of snow out there for you, but certainly something that is a sign that our weather pattern is undergoing a change. And then as we get into next week, I think we're finally going to get back above freezing. We're still dry there on Tuesday with highs in the mid-30s, but I think that next chance for snow potentially arrives on Wednesday. And if things begin to change in terms of our temperatures or the track of the system, maybe it goes a little more to the north, that would drag in warmer air and then potentially would bring in precip type changes in there. I mean, we could see some rain, sleet, snow, or something like that. But again, that's still 10 days off. So that's what we're watching here in the weather department. Again, we just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware or kind of trying to understand that, yeah, we're having some technical difficulties here this morning. Investigates TV is going to continue to run here on TV6 until we get into the 5 o'clock time frame, and we'll continue to kind of let everybody know what's going on over here on air, online, and we want to make sure that we're all up to date on what we can expect here this week. So I'm going to wrap up this stream. That's what we have going on here this morning, and I hope you join us live here at 5 o'clock at the top of the hour here for Quad Cities Today.